Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to an interesting tournament that started today. Welcome to the Superbet Romania Chess Classic in 2024 that's going on now in the beautiful town of Bucharest. So this tournament is a one round robin of 10 players, so we'll see now 9 rounds every day of epic classical time format chess. Unfortunately for us, Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura are not playing, but don't worry, every day I think we'll see really cool matches. Gukesh is here, Praggnanandhaa is here, Alireza Firouzja, Fabiano Caruana, Nepomniachtchi, Giri is also here. So every day I think we'll see interesting matches for sure. And in the round one, we're starting now with a very, I would say, up and down game between one of the really most popular players now these days, Gukesh, who is now of course the world's youngest World Chess Championship challenger of all times, against one of the best Romanian players, Bogdan-Daniel Deac. I think really a crazy game with, I would say, also many inaccuracies, mistakes or blunders, but that's what happens in chess. Let's see now what happened. In my opinion, really beautiful game from the round one. So with the white pieces, Gukesh opened here with the move d4. Bogdan-Daniel Deac's response was knight to f6. We have c4, e6, knight to c3, and after bishop to b4 here, Deac is responding with the so-called Nimzo-Indian defense, one of the best, of course, defenses against d4 for sure. e3 by Gukesh, castling bishop to d2. We're now in the normal variation, and now c5, simply not tolerating this very advanced pawns by white in the center of the board. Here Gukesh continues with the move d5. We have d6 by Deac, bishop to d3, e takes d5, and now c takes d5, which becomes actually also a theoretical novelty, a move that we have not seen so far in chess history. Usually here knight to d5 was played in one game that I see in the database, so also c takes d5 perfectly fine, because actually you cannot take here bishop to c3. Then after bishop to c3 you may be tempted to pick up the pawn on d5, but then you risk this bishop to h7 tactic, and then the knight is lost. Also then the d6 pawn is weak. This bishop would be very dangerous there, so that's why not a good continuation so far to pick up the knight here. So that's why after c takes d5, Deac continues with knight to d7, normal development. Gukesh does the same, and now knight to e5, hitting the bishop on d3. Gukesh retreats. Deac prepares now. Very beautiful idea here, a queenside flank attack, because here black has of course a 3 versus 2 pawn majority, so that's the side that black should attack. Of course white should try something to do here with this 4 versus 3 situation here on this side of the board. So here castling by Gukesh. Deac continues of course with his plan, and now a3, kicking away the bishop. Deac drops back, and now h3. Very interesting move, I would say, here by Gukesh. Tempting move again. Many of us, I think, would break through with the move b4 here, would try to deflect this knight from the defense of the pawn on d5, but Deac, I think, calculated everything good here, because if you even go into this line, okay, you could maybe grab this pawn, but suddenly after knight to d4 and maybe bishop to b6, white is gaining really a beautiful piece activity. Look at this. You could maybe try f5 with trying knight to g5. Of course black and white don't have to play the game like this, but I wanted to show you really how annoying it would be to handle this powerful knights in the center of the board, these bishops that are crossing all over the board. Maybe you could try, I don't know, here knight to f6. Look at this, queen to d1, e6 is weak, the long diagonal, the long light square diagonal is weak. Maybe trying something like this to prevent knight to e6 here. Then knight to c4, I don't know, bishop to f4. Look at this. White would have, I think, here a dominating game. Although down a pawn with this beautiful bishop pair, I think Gukesh would find really the best moves for sure. So that's why h3, very interesting. As I said, Deac is not falling for this. He plays, first of all, solid chess. First of all, improves also the activity by the rook. Knight to g3 by Gukesh, knight to c4, hitting the bishop, but bishop to c1 is still an option now with the preparation, maybe in some lines afterwards, to somehow kick away this knight from the square with the move b3. But now Deac continues, I think, with a very interesting idea. Bishop to c3. Giving up the bishop pair is, I think, here perfectly fine, because after b takes c3, notice now that Gukesh has a tough time to develop the dark square bishop, and it's many times in Nimzo-Indian stuff that the dark square bishop, although white is giving, black is giving up the dark square bishop for a knight, although you have the bishop pair, it's very hard to develop it somehow. Look at this, you could maybe try to move e4, but now this knight on c4 is very, very well placed, supported by the pawn, and still I think in the next couple of moves we can expect, of course, the expansion on the queen side. Very, very interesting trades of pieces so far by Deac. Here Deac continues first of all with queen to a5, hits simply the weakness on c3, but now rook to b1. Now the real fun starts. Now Gukesh is saying, okay, you can take the pawn, but again, I'll try to do some active stuff. I try to liberate somehow my bishop pair and maybe do the best out of it. So after queen to c3, a sacrifice of pawn by Gukesh, rook to b3, kicking away the queen, and now Deac goes with the queen towards the center. We have e4, we have now h5 by Deac. Great play again. He's trying, of course, to deflect here the knight from the defense of the pawn on e4, and believe me or not, here black is even slightly better. Black, if I think, plays now really the best moves. So white could have a tough time, especially on the queen side, to defend now even this 3 versus 1 pawn majority on this side of the board. Of course, white has some options with the move f4 and similar stuff, but I think really black has taken over. White has to be really careful what to do now in the continuation of the game. Gukesh continues now with bishop to d3, tries now also tactic, bishop to c4, then if you play b takes c4, then the rook could be hanging, so that's why Deac continues now with bishop to d7, connects now both of these rooks on the 8th rank, and now f4 by Gukesh, kick away the queen. That was his plan, of course. He's trying to do some dangerous stuff on the king side. Now he got a couple of moves against the queen because the queen took the pawn, but of course Gukesh had now attacking opportunities. But now again a beautiful move here by Deac, queen to d4. Again, at least attacking somehow the position. King to h1, and now comes, I think, the really first critical moment of this beautiful chess game. So far we see maybe h4 could be an option, but actually after knight to e2, black's queen gets trapped. You can maybe try something like this, bishop to e3, can be played, queen to e3, and now after bishop to b1, the queen gets trapped. You are forced to give up the queen. You can get maybe some kind of material, but game over here for black. So that's why Deac continued here with the right plan. He didn't play the move h4. Seems tempting, as I said, to deflect the knight from the defense of the pawn on e4, but after king to h1, Deac played now the most aggressive knight to e4. And what should now Gukesh do? Gukesh, believe me or not, immediately played a mistake. He played now the move bishop to e4. He should have played knight to e4. I'll explain you why. After knight to e4, rook to e4 can be played, and now queen to h5 would be actually here the best continuation for white. Bishop to e4 immediately leads into complications, because if you take now this pawn here, then after queen to f5, and I don't know, maybe something like queen to f5, bishop to f5, the problem is now that the dark square bishop is again neutralized. Look at this. It doesn't have any escape room, and you can maybe try, I don't know, g4, but then bishop to e4 is going to happen. So this knight is controlling basically the bishop here, and I think in the next couple of moves we could really expect here the expansion on the queen side. So that was our analysis, a potential analysis after move knight to e4 that would have been even the correct way here for Gukesh to proceed. But Gukesh played now the move bishop to e4 and allowed now Deac to play a beautiful tactic, which unfortunately for him, he missed. Now Deac misses here simply the best continuation, and actually the best continuation is here a beautiful queen to d1. A simple trade of pieces, because after rook to d1, now the standard would be b4. And after something like a takes b4, bishop to a4, the rooks will be lined up on the same diagonal, and after a couple more moves you lose again the exchange. You can pick up now this one. You can maybe try bishop to c4, rook to c4. Okay, here white would continue actually with 2 minor pieces against the rook, but after knight to f5, look at this, rook to e2 is coming. This one is a passer, this one is a passer. I'm not sure if Gukesh would have survived this particular line. So as I said, very bad move here by Gukesh to play bishop to e4 because of this potential tactics that we saw with the move b4 and then bishop to a4. Now here Deac, instead of queen to d1, he played now the move rook to e4, allowed here Gukesh to take queen to e4. Gukesh plays now rook to e1, queen to h7, protecting now the h5 pawn. And again, although white is up the exchange, believe it or not, black is better here, because again f5 is almost impossible because you lose the pawn, and you want to play f5 in order to get some kind of an activity with your dark square bishop. And again, I'm pointing out this dark square bishop is always controlled by the knight, is always messed up here. And again, black is the simple 3 versus 1 pawn majority. So very, very tough position now for Gukesh to play. We have now rook to e7 by Gukesh, simply attacking the bishop. So again, there are several options here for black. Here, Deac didn't play here the correct way. He played rook to d8. He tried to protect the bishop in this way. Again, queen to f5 is the best move. Again, playing this sort of a blockade, not allowing this pawn to be advanced in order to somehow develop the dark square bishop. This would be the optimal way here for black to proceed. After something like king to h2, you have still these options, maybe trade off the rooks. Even if g4 happens, we can take, then this one is coming. So this bishop is having really, really tough time to be included in any of these lines into the game. So that's why, as I said, queen to f5 must move here for Deac, but unfortunately for him, he played now rook to d8 and allowed here Gukesh to play the beautiful move a4. This is now the best way, of course, trying somehow to undermine this 3 versus 1 pawn majority on this side of the board. We have now king to f8, good move here by Deac, because if you try a6, then we can play something like this. From white perspective, we can even give up the exchange back and then go for this pawn. And again, here in this position, actually, white should be better because of this tensions on the back rank. You can maybe try queen to f5. Look at this, queen to e2. There are several check problems here. The queen is attacking the knight. You cannot pick up the pawn because you get queen to e8. Messy position. So that's why for a4, again, Deac played the correct move. Played king to f8, getting the king closer. Gukesh now protects the rook on e7, and now knight to b6. Simple retreatment here by Deac. We have now a takes b5. Again, not the optimal way here for Gukesh to proceed, because again, f5. F5 is the only way here to somehow, as I said, include the dark square bishop into the game. You could maybe be challenged with this move knight to d5, but then you again give up back the exchange, and this should be again a solid position, again with some threats on the back rank. Maybe you're trying this one, then queen to d3, and okay, pretty equalish position, but this was actually the way here to go for Gukesh. But after a takes b5, what Gukesh allowed here is to move knight to d5 immediately. Now this this whole, I don't know, rook to d7 is not working because you will not grab this pawn. Now the pawn is standing in the way. The rook doesn't have activities on the b file, so you basically locked out your own rook. So after knight to d5, we have rook to e4. Gukesh has to now retreat, and now here Daniel Bogdan Deac missed his move because f5 was, we saw, the best move for Gukesh. But now when Gukesh retreated, here Daniel Bogdan Deac had the opportunity to play a beautiful bishop to b5, and that was now the best move, because after something like, I don't know, rook to b5, you're getting into this one, knight to c3, and here black is much better. But okay, after rook to e4, here Deac didn't find the best continuation. He played queen to f5. A bad move allowed here now Gukesh to play rook to a4, and now these tactics around the square c3 are simply not so dangerous anymore. Rook to e8, queen to d1, attacking now the knight, and now another blunder here by Deac, knight to b4. You have to get your king back here. Maybe something like rook to a7 could happen. Now you pick up this one. If this one happens, again, you have this fork. Obviously this wouldn't be a good continuation, and for white has to be careful about this fork ideas around the square c3. But after queen to d1, you have to, as I said, at least play the move king to g8, at least try to do something. But now Deac played the move knight to b4, and now you see this fork idea, the whole concept with the move knight to c3 is not working, and from this point on, white is much better. So rook to a7 by Gukesh, the game is almost lost, I would say. Now I don't see any counterplay here for black. In the game, bishop to b5 by Deac. Gukesh continues with queen to d6. The position is really collapsing for black. King to g8, king to h2, and now bishop to d3 here by Deac. Rook to c3, going for this pawn on c5, and now after rook to c8, now Gukesh again doesn't play the best move. So as I said, the engine gives you always sort of an unrealistic, I don't know, evaluation of this position. Dogfish Engine says it's almost 2.5 in white favor, so we can agree 2.5 in top engine level would mean that this is completely winning for white. But over the board, when humans play the game, it's hard to see the best ideas. Here, Gukesh continued now with not the optimal way, bishop to e3. Still, white should be much, much better here, but it's a different story. A better choice was to play rook to a5, simply going for this pawn in a different way. After something like knight to d5, you can pick up now this one, but at least you're protecting still your pawn on f4. After bishop to e3, Deac played now an interesting knight to d5, attacking now both of these pieces. So you see with the move bishop to e3, you expose your own dark square bishop. Rook to c5 by Gukesh, rook to c5, we have queen to c5, bishop to e4. Here again, I'm pointing out white should be much, much better, but now Gukesh makes another blunder, which allows here Deac to get back into the game. Gukesh goes for the move rook to a4, attacks simply the piece, and allows here Deac to get back into the game. A better choice instead of rook to a4 for Gukesh was to play rook to a8, simply attacking the king, and now simply protecting your g2 pawn. Why is this pawn on g2 so important? I'll tell you why. Because of rook to a4 that Gukesh played, Bogdan-Daniel Deac had here a beautiful, stunning idea with the move bishop to g2, and this would be actually a draw. Although white is up the exchange and can maybe even grab the piece here, maybe after king to g2. Look at this. This one is working. Knight to pardon me, here after rook to a8. If you play now and king to h7 first, now if you play in the move king to g2, the problem is this tactic, knight to f4, and you cannot pick up the piece with the bishop because your queen is hanging on c5. You can maybe try to escape, but then again, this idea is working. You're trying to escape h4. Now we deliver a check. We can grab the piece here, and if this would have happened, I think we can agree this is a draw, because two pawns and a knight against a rook and a pawn in this position, of course it's not a passer. If this pawn would be somewhere here, could be winning for white, but not in this situation. Black would build some kind of a fortress and would, I think, cement the position, would not allow any breakthroughs by this pawn, any king activity. I think here completely draw position. But instead of this move, let's go back. After move rook to a4, as we saw, bishop to g2, best move here for black. Bogdan-Daniel Deac played now the move king to h7, allowed here Gukesh now finally to protect this pawn, and it's now a different story. Again, winning position, I would say, here for white. Black continues with queen to g6, Gukesh retreats, knight to f6, queen to f2, and knight to d5. Here Gukesh forces the trades of queens, which is a good thing, I would say, a simplification idea. We have knight to e7, Gukesh gets with the king closer. We have bishop to d5, rook comes here, g6 here by Bogdan-Daniel Deac, but now a beautiful move here by Gukesh, king to g5, getting the king closer to the action, bishop to e6, and now bishop to b2, with the preparation, of course, to play rook to d8, and in some lines, if possible, even to deliver a checkmate. So now white is here creating a beautiful checkmate pattern with this beautiful piece activity, but also with this very active king on g5. So we have now knight to g8, and now after rook to d8 in this particular position, Bogdan-Daniel Deac resigned. So why did he resign? Let's see now options. You can maybe try to hold this position. You don't want to push pawns or something here. But then after rook to f8, you're trying again to repeat moves with the bishop. But in one moment, you will have to step back. You don't have any more access to the e6 square with the bishop. And now this idea is working. You get the rook on the other side. And now after rook to h1, completely busted position. You can maybe try only f6 to survive. But now when we grab this pawn, maybe knight to f6, king to f6, it's a different story now. With this material on the board, white is winning the game for sure. So crazy game. You see, not really an impressive win, I would say, by Gukesh. He had many ups and downs in his game. He has to do better. I have to criticize him a little bit because he is now, of course, one of the historical players now in chess, because he's the world's youngest World Chess Championship challenger of all times. But he cannot allow himself so many mistakes. Of course, mistakes and blunders would happen. I think Deac had some opportunities also in the early stage of the game. We saw in the opening stage. So, okay, fair win because of the better activity, because of the more aggressive play of. But if he wants to be the world's youngest champion of all times, he has to do, I think, a little bit better. I hope you can agree with me, because too many holes, I think, so far in this particular game. So, okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game so far. Gukesh won his first game, which is also a very, very good thing, because many games in the first round ended with a draw. Not so many games were won, so every half of a point, every point is counting. So with this win, Gukesh has a good start and has, of course, good opportunities maybe to win the whole thing. So, okay, if you want to see some other commented chess games here on my channel, check out our commented chess games, but also our commented chess games played by computers, where we analyze some top AI games. And if you like this content, subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos. And what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.